Readers are leaders. Have you heard that one before? Well, having run a 7-figure agency that works with entrepreneurs, I can 1000% say the more you learn, the more you earn. It's true, right? But not all books are created equal. That's why if you're an entrepreneur, right, your time is your most valuable asset. So if you're gonna invest the 5, 10, 15, or even 20 hours it takes to read, just one book, you better make sure you're reading the right one. That's why in this video, I'm gonna share with you 5 books that changed my life. The first book on the list is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, one of my favorite books. And the reason why I wanna summarize this one for you really quickly and then share my big idea and takeaway for you is because this is what started the foundation for me personally. Now you watching this video, if you haven't read this book, to summarize it up very quickly, Robert Kiyosaki, who I actually met in person, by the way, he used to train at the gym that I actually went to, but that's a story for another time. He actually wrote the book referring to 2 of his dads when he was growing up. Now, one of them was his friend's dad, who was his rich dad, as he called him, and he was a massive real estate owner in the state of Hawaii at that time, and he had his poor dad, who he referred to as his actual dad, but ultimately was educated, went to college, and just never kept or was able to make a lot of money, even though he had all of the education that should allow him to make a lot of money. Now, the big idea I learned from this book is work to learn, not to earn. Well, what does that mean, right? Well, a lot of us growing up especially, we always try to think about how we can earn the most money right now, where Robert Kiyosaki in the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad explains that you should learn to acquire the skills first, right? Get paid on somebody else's dime to acquire the skills that you're gonna need to be able to achieve your dream, to achieve your goal. So one example of this would be when I worked for Dean Graziosi for almost 3 years. I went to go work for him because I knew that he had a business that I wanted to have one day as well, right? I went to go work for him for 3 years and I learned the skills that I use today to build adspend.com. If you're someone who wants to have a business one day, who is someone that you could work for right now that you know or may know you could go in contact right now to work to learn underneath them so you can earn those skills and earn that income eventually by applying those same skills on your own. So the question I want to ask you is, how can you get paid to learn on someone else's dime by someone else who has a similar business that you want, right? Try to write 1, 2, maybe 3 names down of people that you know or that you might know who have a business that you want to have eventually one day, and contact them immediately after watching this video. The second book on the list is Millionaire Success Habits by none other than Dean Graziosi himself, the guy I was just talking about who I learned from and learned the skills that I now use at my agency adspend.com to help our clients scale their businesses with our help. The big idea that I took away from this book specifically was an exercise called 7 Levels Deep. The 7 Levels Deep exercise was so powerful for me, and I guarantee you when you read this book and you do it for yourself, you will find it so powerful for you. Because a lot of us have these goals that we want to hit, right? Whether it's to make, an extra 5K a month, to pay off student loan debt, to move into a new house, or to make 6 figures a year, to be a millionaire, all these goals, right, that we think we want. But we've never really been taught how to ask ourselves why we want those goals. There's something crazy that happens when you get to the 7th why. So for example, when I did this with one of my friends, where I told him at that time that my goal was to make $100,000 per year, because for me, growing up, that seemed like an impossible number almost. That seemed like if I could make $100,000 a year, like I would be rich. That was my goal at that time. And when I went through the 7 Levels Deep exercise with my friend, and he asked me, why do you want to make $100,000 a year? And I told him, because I want to be successful, right? Well, why do you want to be successful? And why does making $100,000 a year make you think that you're successful? And then I told him, well, because no one in my family's ever made that kind of money that I've really seen, and I think that would be able to give me the freedom I want. Well, why is freedom important to you, right? So you can see why it's like you're going down this loop of like, you're digging deeper into ultimately why you want to achieve this goal. And what's crazy is after discovering my true purpose for wanting to achieve that goal that I had by doing the 7 Levels Deep exercise, a year later, I was actually working for Dean Graziosi full-time, like I just shared with you in the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book summary. And I was on track to make 6 figures a year. By the time I left his company, I was already making 6 figures a year, and I was actually making that same amount of income on the side. So again, if you're watching this video, pick up this book immediately and do the 7 levels deep exercise. You will thank me later, I promise you. How to Be a 3% Man by Coach Corey Wayne. This book shows you the secrets that most of the world doesn't know when it comes to dating and relationships with picking up women. And if you're a guy watching this video, you're gonna wanna pick up this book immediately because this is your dating Bible. And there's a reason why 3% in this book that Coach Corey Wayne explains, 3% of the men get 80% of the women, right? So that's just the competition. That's just life, right? You have to learn these secrets to be able to apply them to your life. And one of those big secrets is called the 5-day rule. So let me ask you a question. After a first date with a girl that you really like, what do most guys do wrong, okay? Well, they text her right away after the date and they say, I hope you got home okay, with a smiley face. Or they text her the next day and say, hey, how are you? I had a great time last night. Or they text her and call her and say, hey, I had a really good time. Would love to do it again. When are you free next, right? They're just being very needy, especially after they first got done dating her. What you should do after a first date with a girl that you like is not contact her for 5 days. And there's a reason why 5 days is such a magical number, right? 5 days is a long enough time to be able to, number one, make sure that you are living your purpose by actually getting your stuff done during the week, because you're a busy guy. You should be busy focusing on your health and fitness, focusing on your business, right? You know, spacing out the time you had the date 5 days after to be able to call her and then say, hey, was thinking about you, wanna grab dinner, wanna grab lunch, wanna grab coffee, wanna hang out again, right? That's enough time for you to actually be, on purpose doing what you should be doing, but also allow her to what's called miss you, right? Think about it. It also separates you from every other guy out there who's maybe dated her in the past, because while she's thinking about why haven't you called her yet, while she's thinking about why haven't you texted her yet, there's other guys that might be already texting her, already calling her, but you're different, right? Now this also does 2 things, right? Number one, it separates you from being needy, right? From being someone who's actually high value because you're not over communicating to her right away. And the other thing is that you actually weed out the crazy chicks. Now I know that sounds weird, but you are wanting someone who is going to be a high value woman in your life, right? And this book will really give you the foundation to not look at girls as being on a pedestal and holding them as superior to you, which is why it's so important. And I actually did a full book review of this. If you want to check that out, I'll put it right here or right here as a card that you can click. I go more in depth and show you the 9 mistakes that most guys make when it comes to dating and relationships with women. So check that one out. The next book on the list is Ready, Fire, Aim by Michael Masterson. And if you're someone who's an entrepreneur and you want to build your own business, this is what I call the business building Bible. This is actually the same book that we give to all of our clients when they join our programs or work with our agency, because it's that important. It literally is the blueprint to go from 0 to 100 million in no time flat. And the book is filled with just non-stop gold. And the reason why this book is on the list is because, again, if you're someone who wants to build a business, a lot of people when they first start off in entrepreneurship focus on the wrong things, okay? And a quick story to make this point be very clear for you is in the book, he shares with you how he actually had a friend who he hired for one of his businesses, and this friend was from childhood, and he was good friends with him, and he thought, okay, maybe I could have this guy come work with me and help me build this business. What happened was one day this friend went out to go work with one of the other colleagues who was a woman in the office, and she was having trouble picking out the artwork for their office, right? Now because he went to go shop for artwork with this other girl who was having trouble doing it on her own, he missed the call from one of their biggest suppliers, and that supplier didn't have time to wait, so they ended up going and calling their biggest competitor and doing business with them instead, which cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue for their company, which if you're a startup, if you're in your beginning stages of your business, is not a good thing. At that moment, he knew he had to fire his friend and let his friend go because he wasn't focusing on the most important thing that it takes, especially when you're growing a business from 0 to 7 figures, which is sales. Forget business cards, forget websites, forget artwork for your office, forget logos, forget branding, forget designs, forget everything that you think is so important about starting a business. The only thing that matters is selling your product, your service, and your offer. That's the only thing that you should be doing, especially when you're going from 0 to 1 million, because that's how you actually build the business. And again, this is the same book that we send to all of our clients when they join our program or they work with our agency. It's that good. I highly recommend you pick it up ASAP. Speaking of selling, the last book on the list is The Psychology of Selling by Brian Tracy. And this book is actually one of the very first books that I ever read back in college when I was a junior, actually going into my junior year at Arizona State University. And I got recommended this book by a friend of mine whose brother was actually going to be training us to do door-to-door sales that summer, knocking on doors, selling home security systems. He's like, okay, you guys should read this book. And I listened to this book every night that rest of college before that summer. And this book taught me the importance of selling. Now, I know in the last book, I just recommended how the big idea is to focus on selling, which is the main revenue generator for any business to get actually successful. And you might be thinking, you hear the word sales and you're like, well, I'm not in sales. I don't want to have my own business and I don't want to be a salesperson. Now, I would challenge you to stick with me here, okay? The book taught me, The Psychology of Selling, that everybody is in sales. You, me, right now, we are all salespeople. Sales is life and life is sales. That's the big idea, right? You have to become good at sales. You have to just throw that belief away that sales isn't important, because it is. It's literally the difference between someone who is successful and not successful. If you think about it, some of the most highest paid people in this planet are sales people, right? The most important sale is yourself. You have to sell yourself that you're good enough, that you have all the skills you need, that you are attractive enough. You're selling to your ideal partner, right? You have to sell yourself first. If you can't sell yourself on you, nobody else is gonna sell, nobody else is gonna buy from you, nobody else is gonna buy into you and into your goals and dreams. You have to constantly be selling, guys. And the big idea that you can take away from that book is you have to become good at sales if you want to truly achieve a success in this life that's everything you've ever dreamed of. It's all selling. The most important sale is selling yourself on you. Start by saying these 3 little words every single day after watching this video for the rest of your life, and your life will change forever. I like myself. Again, guys, readers are leaders. Truly, I can say that with 1,000% certainty, because reading and learning information from the books that I just gave you is what allowed me to acquire the skills necessary to become better and grow as a human, to be able to achieve my goals and dreams. And for you, I guarantee you these 5 books will help you get on the fast track to achieving your goals and dreams as well. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel. Comment down below what your favorite big idea was from these 5 big ideas that I just shared from these 5 books, and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Again, I put together a video where I share with you more in depth on the 9 mistakes that most guys make when it comes to dating and losing the relationship that they always dreamed of by making these mistakes. So if you're someone who's a guy who wants to achieve the dating life you've always dreamed of, you're gonna wanna check out that video. I'll put it right here, How to Be a 3% Man by Coach Corey Wayne. I go in depth on that book. A lot of guys love it. And if you're someone who wants to avoid ruining the relationship with a girl that you really like, check that book out so you don't make those 9 mistakes. I'll see you over there in that video.